The UFC is heading back to the Apex for a historic UFC Vegas 100. That's right. We have had 100 events in the small cage in the quiet arena. But we're not here to talk about that. I am here to give you my Underdog Fantasy entry for UFC Vegas 100. If you don't know what Underdog Fantasy is, it's daily fantasy. You come in here, you say higher or lower than the numbers you see on the screen, and you can make some very real money. They'll even give you free money to play. The only thing you need to do is go to wewantpicks.com/underdog, use promo code WWP, and you have all sorts of free money options. wewantpicks.com/underdog, promo code WWP. Not only are you going to get free money from them, but they also offer all sorts of bonuses and boosts on whatever entry you build. You can see here a 50% profit boost on NBA entries. They have the same for NHL. There's all sorts of different options, different free squares, different bonuses. Check it all out. I am going to focus on UFC here, specifically UFC Vegas 100. Let's go ahead and dive in. We had a great slate last week. I think I gave you I gave you 5 and 4 of them hit, and we always do the flex play, so that was great. And just a quick reminder, if you're getting a 10x payout or a 5x payout, you only need to hit 1 in 5 or 1 in 10 or 1 in 3 for a 3x to be making money. So are we going to hit every week? No. Are we going to hit more often than we lose? Yes. Are we going to have long-term profit doing this? Of course we are. Let's go ahead and dive into UFC Vegas 100. A line that I immediately saw and liked was the higher than a half a knockout on Carlos Prates. I do think he comes in here, and I think he knocks out Neil Magny. It is 0.63, so it's not as juiced as you would like. It's probably a little too low. I'm going to remove it for now, but this is one that I like. And if you want to build multiple entries, go ahead and throw it in there. But let's remove that for now. I actually have 6 lines that I do like. Let's work our way down. Right off the Ripazewski, we got Gerald Meerschaert, half a finish, we're going to lower. That's 0.63x. So if you're deciding between Carlo Prates to win by knockout or Gerald Meerschaert to not get a finish by submission, I'm going with the Gerald Meerschaert one. Because yes, Carlos Prates should knock out Neil Magny. That's what should happen. It's 5 rounds. But we're going to leave that alone, because what if Carlos Prates ends up in a decision because he gets tired, he gets held against the cage, it's his first main event. There's a lot of weird factors there. Carlos Prates was also supposed to be on UFC 309. They moved him, a whole thing. And if I look at that, Carlos Prates to get a knockout, or if I look at Gerald Meerschaert to not get a submission, the not get a submission accounts for many outcomes. To get a knockout is one specific outcome. Gerald Meerschaert to not get a submission means he can win. He can win by knockout. He could lose. He could lose by submission. There's a lot of decisions that could go into the Gerald Meerschaert lower than a half a finish. So we're going to go ahead and add that. I do like the options we have there. Bernardo Sopai, I'm going to leave that alone. He should win. It's probably a decision. Ricky Tercios is a fast-paced, somewhat durable guy. I'm going to leave that alone, though, because Bernardo Sopai was just wildly unconscious in the worst way possible. Jillian Robertson, this was another one. Higher than half a finish, I was very much considering that. But I looked at it and decided, again, there's a very specific outcome has to happen for that to be worth it. And while that probably does happen, I'm not going to spend money on that. We will leave that alone. Let's work our way down. I promise you, I have 5 more that we're going to add here. We got Mansour Abdul Malik. I am doing higher than half a finish on him. The reality is Dusko Todorovic is the least durable guy on this card. Mansour Abdul Malik is a finisher, and this is pretty straightforward. I think he's going to get this to the ground, immediately start wailing away, and he'll finish Dusko Todorovic. That's what this is set up to do. That's what's supposed to happen, and that includes a submission or a TKO or a cut or any finish, really. So I am pretty confident there. If we look at Denise Gomes, we're going lower than a half a finish here. She's fighting Karolina Kovacevic, one of the most experienced, one of the more durable, one of the most influential people in that division for about 15 years now. When I say influential, I mean she fought for a world title. She has been on winning streaks. She has been on losing streaks. She has inspired a younger generation. She's a little older now, a little worn out, a little slower, but she is still durable, still has veteran savvy. I don't think Denise Gomes is going to finish her. Let's continue to work our way down the list. Similar story with Cortavious Romious, but we're going to go lower than a half of submission. All the reasons I mentioned before. A submission is a very specific outcome. If Cortavious wins a decision, if he knocks out, if he loses, if he gets finished, all of those outcomes mean that we're good to go. The only time we lose this is if he does win by submission. I don't think Gaston Bolanos is going to get finished by a UFC debut, or certainly not very specifically by submission. So we're going to do the lower there. Let's continue to work our way down. We got Charlie Radke. Very similar story. Lower than half a finish. Matt Semmelsberger is very, very durable. Matt Semmelsberger is a guy that's going to stay in your face, move forward, be tough. And Charlie Radke is not a prolific finisher. He didn't even finish Blood Diamond, who only knows how to do one single thing. So we're going to do the lower than half a finish here because I think Matty Semmelsberger, or the Semi, as he calls himself, will be able to survive and should be good to go. That's basically our entry. Let's just look at the rest. I'm not touching Matt Semmelsberger. I don't think he's going to finish either. So you can do the Matt to not win by finish because I also think he loses. It's the same payout. I don't think it matters which side you get. Damon Blackshear, I'm going to leave that alone. That's a tricky fight. Cody Stamann is a tough guy. He can strike. He can grapple. He has college wrestling experience. We're going to leave that alone. The Tresean Gore, Antonio Trocoli fight, I think Trocoli wins as a dog, but we're going to leave that alone. There's too many. Tresean Gore hasn't fought in 2 years. He only has like 5 professional fights. We're going to leave that alone. Melissa Mullins was one that I considered higher than half a finish. I do think Melissa Mullins can win this fight by finish, but I'm going to leave that alone. That is juiced 1.69x. What I do recommend to you is if you're building multiple entries, build one with Melissa Mullins higher than a half a finish because it's juiced and it'll account for some of these under the 2x payout. I just didn't put it in there because I'm not trying to jinx. And go watch the betting video to know what I'm talking about. That is the entry. Let's go ahead and recap it. We got Gerald Mearshart lower than half a finish. We got Mansour Abdul Malik higher than half a finish. Denise Gomes lower than half a finish. Cortavious Romious lower than half a submission. And then Charlie Radke lower than half a finish. That's the entry. Oh, no, it's not the entry, you silly goose. Significant strikes lower than 48.5 on Melissa Mullins. I got 50.5. Let me go ahead and show you that. My bad, guys. My bad. And this is what being a premium member is all about, because if you saw this entry when I placed it, you would see that we got Melissa Mullins at 50.5 significant strikes. Obviously, right now it's 48.5. I don't think that 2 strikes is going to make a difference. So we're going to go ahead and add this to the mix. So the updated entry is Melissa Mullins lower on her strike line. Mansour Abdul Malik higher on the finish. Gerald Mearshart lower on the finish. Denise Gomes lower on the finish. Charlie Radke lower on the finish. Cortavious Ramos lower on the submission. This is my entry. It doesn't have to be yours. Yeah, we win far more often than we lose, and we are up money long term. But if you want to build your own entry, who cares? Go for it. Just do it with the free money. WeWantPicks.com/underdog, promo code WWP.